Hey, listen up. We got another episode of Wise Kracks, featuring the crack man himself, Bill Krackenberger, and our co-host, John Orlando, straight from Las Vegas. Wise Kracks is your ticket inside the world of sports betting, with tips, picks, special guests, and more. Only on WSN.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of Wise Kracks. I'm John Orlando, and as always, Mr. Bill Krackenberger. We have a lot to talk about today, Bill.
Yes, there's some stuff going on this week. We like to go back and forth with. We talked about it a little bit off air, but I mean, now we're going to get the real nitty gritty here on air.
Yeah. Are you referring to Mike Tyson documentary?
Oh yeah, that was.
You want to start with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, last week's was fantastic. Did we talk about that last week?
Not on the show. No.
Oh man. And you know,
I just watched it because I didn't even know it existed until a few days ago.
So I told you to watch part 1 and you did.
I did, and I watched part 2 last night.
All right, so I only watched the first 40 minutes of part 2.
Wow.
And I was shocked how revealing it was. I didn't think they were going to. I thought this was supposed to be Mike Tyson today, happy and all the things that are going good in his life. This was very, very in-depth.
Yeah.
And it was very revealing. Last night, the first 40 minutes that I seen was about the rape charge and going to jail for 3 years.
Yep.
And, him, how he was back then. And I'm waiting. I guess it's going to happen. I don't spoil it for me.
I won't spoil it.
Does it go to today, Mike Tyson?
Yes, that's all I'll say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the first episode, we didn't even realize.
Teddy Atlas.
I didn't realize it. I mean, I was with Teddy.
It's your buddy. It's your buddy of 30 years, right? How long you known him?
I went to dinner with Teddy 4 nights in a row. I never knew. I think to be honest with you, I just don't know if he realized how they were going to portray him.
Right.
So I just felt that maybe he thought it was going to be a pro Tyson thing, and
yep.
But he was talking he talked very bluntly and stuff, and he was a little cautious though. He didn't want to make it look so bad he just wanted to tell the truth what happened. And the first hour of last week's was fantastic.
So good.
It was all about Teddy with training Mike for Customato.
Yeah.
And you really got to see there that it was Teddy Atlas that did the physical training in the ring.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Customato, legendary guy, with many world champions. Floyd Patterson comes to mind. I mean, he was just Muhammad Ali was one of his guys too. I mean, he really was a mentor for many people. But he was 72 at the time, I think he was. Right. And Teddy was doing all the work.
Yeah.
And basically, when it came down about Mike, when Mike had that problem, where I'm going to call it his problem, when he actually made some remarks to Teddy's future sister-in-law, who, by the way, was 11 years old at the time. Yeah. And Teddy was just an old school guy, and he wasn't going to have that. And he was going to have respect. He wasn't going to have Tyson get away, which he was getting away with more and more and more since he's 12 years old up there at the camp in the Catskills. And Teddy just felt he had to take it a little more street.
Yeah.
And he did by taking a gun to his head.
And he says he almost pulled the trigger.
He almost did.
Can you imagine?
Yes, he almost did.
How so many lives...
He did pull the trigger, but up in the air. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was going to pull the trigger...
Oh, yeah, if there was a...
Aimed at Mike.
Yes. Yeah. Teddy's no... he's a knock-around street guy. You understand? Teddy was in jail.
Yeah.
If Teddy's book on tape is fantastic now. The book was fantastic too. I've read the book.
Yeah.
But the book on tape, which is now called on Audible, I think it's
called. Something like that.
Yeah. That is fantastic. You should listen to that. It talks very candidly about many things that's happened with his upbringing, and let's face it, Teddy was in kind of a gang. He was jumping people, fighting people.
Yeah. Which is so crazy to me because he's the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, he was in Rikers Island for a while. He was.
Mike is a nice guy.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing how it's just like we were saying before we started the show today. Like you don't really. We all knew Mike Tyson grew up tough in a tough circumstances, but it was really tough.
I didn't know it was that bad. That showed me, episode 1 showed me when he was in Brownsville how bad it was for him. Yeah. He had his mom who was supposedly a hooker. She was bringing guys home on the weekends and having sex right in front of him. He's literally a grade school guy.
Right.
And no father, just tough upbringing.
And he got bullied.
He was bullied.
Can you imagine that?
He had his pigeons on the roof, and one tough guy came up there, ripped the pigeon's head off. That's when he turned into a different person.
Yeah.
He turned into that rage came out of him.
Yeah.
So.
It was nice to see the arc, though, of how he started. Troubled kid, found boxing, kind of got on the right path. Then money and fame kind of took him down the wrong road, and now I think he's a different Mike than he was. How many
guys like this? You can use a lot of NBA players.
Countless, right?
A lot of boxers. We have Michael Morris.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that made almost $40 million. And can't pay his rent today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be with Michael this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, he's coming.
I'm flying there.
Oh, you're going there.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm flying to the East Coast, and Michael's going to be there. So that's
that's cool.
Yeah, it should be fun.
And other stuff in the headlines. What's going on with the NBA with the fans?
Kind of
out of control.
Yeah, they're out of control.
It's crazy.
I mean, I grew up a baseball fan. John, would you say that's your favorite?
100%.
Sport, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up a baseball fan. This has been happening in baseball for years to a certain point. It's not going overboard like it is with these guys, but I used to heckle the umpires.
Sure.
I did.
Sure.
I remember heckling the umpire
Get
and
some
Don
glasses
Mattingly
blue.
at first base laughing at me.
Yeah.
But, we heckled the umpires, and there's been streakers running on the fields.
Yep.
Football games, baseball games, big events, World Cup events. When they have a big audience, of course, the cameras don't show them now. They used to. Used to be a funny thing, but then they got carried away. So that kind of stuff's been going on, but the physical thing I don't like when they're actually physically going after.
Throwing beers at players,
beers.
And popcorn, spitting. One fan was spitting on someone. He spit at a player.
That was a Knicks. I think I wrote that down. I think it was a Knicks. I didn't see that, but I heard about that.
Can you imagine?
I mean,
and they do it because they know there's no consequence. Right? They know the players. Other than Ron Artest. Remember that back in the day when Ron Artest went up in the stands?
I think there's something going on in society, though. It's literally a deterioration of the fabric of these morals. These kids, I don't know, they didn't grow up like we grew up, maybe. I don't know, like social. No respect. We grew up, I was outside playing. I literally went outside and played basketball and played in the snow. And my mother and father used to scream, "Get in the house, let's go! It's 9 o'clock." I said, "Mom, the sun's going. The sun's still up."
Yeah.
Do you remember outside for 10, 12 hours a day on the weekends?
Yeah. Do you remember when we were younger? You'd go to a movie with your friends on a Friday night, and you're talking before the movie starts, or right as it's starting, whatever. And then any adult,
right
in front of you, next to you, behind you, would say, "Shh," kids, shh. Yeah. You'd be like, "Oh, sorry."
Of course.
Right?
This is a great example.
You do that now?
You do it now, you might get killed.
You might get killed.
Seriously. It's just the kids today are just out of control. And every generation always says, "Oh, these kids today. Oh, these kids." In the 60s, they say that when they hate Ashbury and the kids were, psycho and this is unbelievable, these kids. Listen, 2021, after the year we just had, it's all like a pent-up, misplaced rage. These kids sitting home on their computers and their social media, they don't even know how to act socially out. Yeah. So I think it's, like I said, it is a deterioration of the human race. Yeah. It's these kids today, they have no respect for their own families. If they have no respect for their own mother and father and family, what are they going to do in society when they're out publicly? They're going to do exactly that. I mean, I wanted to blame Philly. Philly's the toughest area in the country, for sports-wise. This is the place that, of course, as we know, they've thrown snowballs at Santa Claus. So, so they had a jail right in the stadium. Now a lot of the stadiums actually have it. So I wanted to blame Philly because I believe the popcorn incident was in Philly. So you just... now that I see other things, going after the people, going after the players on the court, now you're saying spitting on someone, which I believe was the Knicks, a Knicks player.
Yeah.
This is just, it's society.
It's crazy.
It's tough. And it shouldn't be accepted. Absolutely shouldn't be. No matter how I feel about the NBA, this shouldn't happen in any sport.
Yeah, we can't have that.
Players shouldn't be subjected to have to worry about what's going to happen and you know what? That means they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Yeah. Not only that, not only saying the fullest extent, that means the biggest sentences you can have. If you step on that court, you go to jail for a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. It has to be that way.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Okay, there's a big boxing match coming up pretty soon.
Yes.
Logan Paul.
I haven't looked at the current odds now because
Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather.
Some giant movement yesterday.
Which way?
On the Logan Paul.
Really?
Yes. I mean, giant. It moved from like 19 to 11 to 1. So
there's no chance. Now, do you agree? Wait, you're the king of saying every dog can have its on any given Sunday. Do you say the same thing on this one?
How about this? Ready? You can lay 7.5 to 1 now at some spots. It was 19 to 1. 19 to 1 only, I don't know, 36 hours ago. So it's went down to the offshore prices of about anywhere from 7.5. I'm seeing 9 to 1 at Bet365. I'm surprised to see this because that's the only brick and mortar site that I know of. I don't even know if this is even a right line because the brick and mortar sites weren't going to book this. The states haven't licensed it to
right.
bet. By the way, I think now no one has said this officially. I think that's only because of what happened with the Mike Tyson-Roy Jones fight.
Right.
When Bet3, no, who was it? It was DraftKings. DraftKings was a huge sponsor of the fight.
Yep.
Took millions and millions of dollars and had to give the money back because the judges, who were the commentators, said,
it's a draw.
Yeah, it's a draw. They put both their hands in the air, and the executives at DraftKings said, "Oh my God, we got to give all that money back."
Right.
You know. So you made the comment a couple shows ago, or maybe last show, about betting the draw on this one. So I haven't seen the odds yet, but
that would be the only bet I think there's to make.
If you can get the same kind of odds on a draw,
I think I like Floyd by KO.
Yeah, Floyd by KO when that comes out may be a good bet,
right?
Yeah, I can't lay 12 to 1.
Floyd's got to put a stamp on this and shut this down. It's one thing to go the distance with Conor McGregor or whatever, 10 rounds with Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
You can't go deep into this fight with a YouTuber. I mean, you just can't if you're Floyd Mayweather, right?
No.
There's no way.
And I don't think anyone could bet serious money on this fight because of the situation that's happening, like I said, with the judging on the fight. But only because what I seen in that Tyson-Roy Jones fight. If I didn't see that fight and what happened, I don't know what's going to happen here. They're calling it an exhibition, but yet I watched, what did I watch on show? I watched Showtime Boxing last weekend, and after the boxing came on the preview to this fight on Showtime, and I actually said, wow, that made me want to watch it now.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't going to want to watch it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to be in Boston that night, because it's unusual, guys. This is on Sunday night. This is not a Saturday night fight, which you normally expect.
Right.
But Floyd, I heard him say it. He said, no. I wanted a Sunday fight. I want people home. Sitting around. That's the day of rest. Let them watch us. So this is Sunday night from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. Now, is that where the Dolphins play? I think it's where the Dolphins play.
I think so.
I think it's where the Dolphins play, Hard Rock Stadium. So this is going to be a bigger event than I probably thought, because I only thought it was like a kind of a spectacle.
Right.
The whole hat thing with the brother.
Yep.
I think that was not that was set up, because I seen some punches being thrown there.
Yeah.
But I think that brings a more of a draw to the fight.
Sure.
And here's what's going to happen in the end. These guys are going to make tens of millions. Floyd's going to make over 100 million.
Yeah.
So.
And you just mentioned the brother. So they just announced that Jake Paul is going to fight UFC former champion Tyron Woodley.
Right now, Woodley is out of the UFC.
August. He's out of the UFC now. He's still a commentator, but he's no longer.
Pictures of him. I don't really know. I remember him a little bit, but
he was the welterweight
looks
champ.
Like he's in unbelievable shape.
He's in unbelievable shape. He's a wrestler, but he's got good boxing. He's got a little bit of a boxing background, and he's got a lot of power in his right hand.
Wow.
So, I don't know, man. I still don't want to be a hater or sound like a hater, but I just don't know how legit those fights are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now, is that still on Triller? No, the Triller moved it, right?
Yeah.
So that fight, too, will be moved. Now, that's it? He's done on that
Jake
network?
is done with that. This is going to be Jake's first Showtime fight, Showtime Boxing.
Right. What a great job those executives at Triller did locking him up. Hey. Yeah. Someone's going to get
Yeah, that was definitely a fail.
Yeah. So this is going to be on Showtime, and you're thinking maybe the same kind of thing that he could be just set up for a string of fights here. I don't know if he signed a multi-fight deal with Showtime, but this may almost be, see, I don't use that word. I don't use that three-letter F word, fix.
Yeah.
So this may be, you're thinking this may be, that word.
I do.
Yeah.
I
kind
do.
of a setup for a couple.
I mean, if I mean, I hate to sound like I sound like a Jake Paul hater across the board, but I think if Woodley loses, yes, it's fixed. There's just no way.
No odds yet. I was looking here at the futures here. No odds on that fight yet. So. We'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. All right. Well, listen, all of you folks watching and listening, crack has been really hot in baseball. So I would like to remind everyone to download the Crack Wins app. It's available on Apple or Google Play, or you can just go to crackwins.com. I want to say you're 7-1 this past week for baseball.
I don't know. I know we won. I know one thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday's game, we had Tampa Bay yesterday, lost to the Yanks. 2-run walk-off home run in extra innings. Before that game, I think we were just smoking. I don't know how many in a row we won. We won a lot. But I'm not one that does that. I don't talk about short term. I want to know long term. Mm-hmm. I know what I've done since the beginning of the season. I'm definitely winning a ton in baseball. The first 5 inning stuff's been really super strong. It's been so good.
And you like that because you're really just betting on the starting pitching basically, and not worrying about the bullpen.
Yes, betting on the starting pitching.
I like that strategy.
Yeah, it's a truer outcome. Like almost like in college basketball, I like to bet some first halves because you get a truer outcome compared to the full game, where you may have some randomness with the bullpens or the guys that come in the game, or just who knows, anything, injuries, or whatever it may be. So. Same thing with the in college basketball. You have fouling, which you can't take into consideration. Especially, I like betting dogs. So in dogs, it hurts me a lot.
Yeah.
With that. So yeah, things have been going good. We're chugging along here. Golf matchups and WNBA. We're starting college baseball this week.
Really?
Yes. Friday will be college. But wait till you guys. Wow. Wait till my guys that have crack wins see the baseball lines. It's such a small market sport, but yet these sports books book it. That I'll lay 130 on a baseball game, and I won't be so shocked to see it go to 230. It's crazy. Unlike a baseball game where I'm laying 131 on a game and it goes to 142 or something, or even an NBA game moving 3 points on the totals. These college baseball lines really move, and we get the money. Now,
isn't college baseball as easy as just betting Clemson, Miami?
It is.
Texas A&M.
The schedule's up. The schedule's up for this week, and I was looking at some of the teams. I mean, there are so many teams that are just like, I'll give you some of the teams just to give you like the Army, Texas. This is baseball, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Army, Texas Tech, Nevada, UC Irvine. Of course, the California teams are pretty known for their college baseball.
Yeah.
But East Carolina, Norfolk State, Presbyterian. I mean, we go on to these little small schools. Campbell, Virginia Commonwealth, McNeese State. Sorry, Old Dominion, Central Connecticut. I mean, Liberty and Duke playing baseball. These teams, nobody knows, but Crack Wins knows.
I like it.
Yeah, we have some good info coming out.
And fair enough. So after you download the Crack Wins app, head on over to WSN.com for all the latest sign-up bonuses and articles and whatnot. Is it still part of your morning ritual?
Yeah, I was on it. I was actually on it today, and as usual. And on their homepage, I'm happy to report that we're on the homepage. You can see here, John. We are on the homepage.
Hey, I like that.
On the top of the homepage.
Look at that.
Episodes. I was talking about that to them, so we got that done. That's excellent. Anyone can go there and listen to all of our podcasts, actually. And I see they have a $600 Pick 7 contest, which we haven't talked about, a Major League Baseball contest. You can go there for that. But also the latest predictions, odds, and news. Fantastic stuff on all different subjects here, across all different gambling subjects, which I love. There's more articles there than anywhere I know. And, of course, when you click on all news, it'll talk about the sports betting world, which is really something I love. I learn more there about the different jurisdictions, and they go in-depth because someone's actually interviewing someone in that state. Of course, my fun part, the best part, is when you click on best sports books reviewed, you can go to each state and look at all the different odds. You can look at all the different websites that are in that state and get some of the best bonuses in the industry. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're always only first-time sign-up bonuses, right? Can you get a bonus again?
Oh, boy, can you get extra bonuses.
Really?
Oh, man. I mean, hold on. Didn't you sign up for a couple sports books? Don't you get emails once in a while from them?
Oh, right.
Dangling little carrots.
Right.
Hey, John, come on over here. We know you're a sucker. There's 500 more for you.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right. It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but
sucker. You like the sucker part.
Well, I mean, not with me advising you. You're not going to be a sucker.
No.
Yeah.
But sometimes I go rogue. I can't help it.
I know you do. You like betting those 4-team parlays, all favorites, laying 3 and 4 to 1.
Yeah.
So it's funny. People love doing that. That's probably the number one bet amongst squares. They love doing that.
Yeah.
They say, wow, this is 4 to 1. This is 3 to 1. This is 8 to 1. Put these together. They're all going to win.
Right.
And then the 8 to 1 loses.
Yeah.
And you're like, how can that be? That's 3 and 4 to 1. What happened here? But I should have won. That's why I'm going back.
Yeah. You know me. Yeah, pretty good.
Human nature.
It's pretty good.
That's not just you. No, it's not you.
No.
But, yeah.
And the NBA playoffs. You got any predictions or any?
WSN has. By the way, are we going into this future stuff?
Yeah, go into the future stuff.
Yeah, I as far as predictions, listen,
because I can make one.
I hate giving out a future on predictions for conversation's sake, because I hate that I have to force to make a play live on our show here. So I'm going to have you do one, and I'll let you know my opinion on it. And of course, I'm always saying to shop the lines. That's the reason why, too. Listen, even though I say there's such a big hold on futures, 20, 30, 40, 50% on futures, I will bet a future bet. I'll bet something on a future, but the reason why I'll bet that, I'm not giving them the 30 and 40%. I have so many different sports books to look at, and I'm seeing different odds and line sets. I know I can bring that household down to single digits.
Right. Okay. So, I don't know if you know this. Even though I'm from LA, I'm a Laker hater.
Probably didn't know that.
Yeah. I shouldn't say that. I'm an old school Laker fan.
Okay.
Magic, Kareem, that crew.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big Kobe fan. Rest in peace, Kobe. Nothing personal. I was a Shaq fan.
Yeah. Sure.
But I hate LeBron James.
Yeah, you hate the way he plays.
I hate everything about him. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a LeBron fan. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
With that said, they're down 3-2.
Right.
As we record this, I feel I'm a big momentum guy.
Yeah.
If Phoenix pulls this off and they beat the Lakers, I think that momentum carries them all the way through. I'm going all in on Phoenix Suns.
Okay, so it's not even you don't even, do you know the odds?
No. Joining us on the show today is a former baseball GM. He's been in baseball over 20 years. He was the former GM of the New York Mets. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
Yeah.
Also the Orioles. And I know him through my buddy Chris Benson, whose glove is right over my shoulder here. Yeah. The Chris Benson glove. I speak of the great Jim Duquette joining us.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Hi, Jim.
Good, man.
Thanks for having me on, man. I love me some Chris Benson mentions.
Right.
Actually, as you know, John.
Yeah, man.
I miss talking to him. He was one of my favorite players all time. Actually,
he's a good guy. And Jim, before we go any further, let me introduce formally Bill Krackenberger, who you may have seen on ESPN a bunch of times over the years or whatever. Big sports bettor.
Nice to see you, Bill. Yeah, everything is good. Thanks for having me on. You guys are looking good. I was catching a little bit of your conversation on the NBA, which I watch in the wintertime, but now that baseball's going, I don't. It's cut into my NBA viewing.
Sure,
nice.
Yeah, NBA. I'm John and I are both baseball guys. We grew up baseball. I grew up back east, and going to the. By the way, unbelievably, I lived in the Bronx, but yet everyone in my house was a Yankee fan. I was a Met fan. I grew up a Met fan my whole life. Yeah,
that happens a fair amount in New York. There's like a whole house full of Yankee fans, and then there's one or two in the house that become Mets fans. They're like, I don't want to be a Yankee fan. I want to be different. I want to choose them. By the way, being a Mets fan, you have to be a true fan, right? That's what normal fans go through. The Yankees always spend all this money and they're always good and everything. It's a true fandom to go with the ups and downs of being a Mets fan or any other baseball fan normally.
Although with all that money spent on the Yankees, they haven't been playing too well lately.
They haven't been playing too well. They haven't won a World Series forever, at least in Yankees, in Yankee land. So I think that gets their fan base up in arms too. But the way they're playing right now, their offense is really struggled. They've had some health issues like everybody else, but I'm surprised. I don't know about you guys. I'm really surprised at how much their offense has struggled so far. Like, it's the whole season. They're in the bottom, like 5 or 6 teams offensively. I never would have predicted that with that group.
Yesterday's game might be a little bit of a turning point for them. You know, a walk-off home run in extra innings, 2-run home run against the red-hot Tampa Bay Rays. That may be a little bit we're going to see it. What we're going to see tonight. I actually bet Tampa Bay yesterday, by the way. But but I've been betting them the last couple of times. So, so that may be we're going to see now. Now we're going to see what's going to happen now. But I just that walk-off home run in extra innings.
Momentum.
It could be the momentum changer. They have the talent. I mean, Jim knows that too. They have the talent, of course.
They do.
But so we're going to see what's going to happen there.
Jim, when you have a team that's losing like that on a losing streak and you're in the front office like you've been, is it pressure, or do you just you know you've been around the game long enough, it's part of the game, peaks and valleys?
Well, I mean, a big part of it is that, right, peaks and valleys. Then there's an added pressure in New York. So every losing streak takes on a life of its own. Watching as an example, Giancarlo Stanton, right? Stanton was unbelievably hot before he got injured. He goes on the injured list. He comes back. He strikes out like 8 of his first 12 at bats.
Right.
And he goes 0 for last night. Now the fans are booing him again. And part of this is the high price tag, right? Anyone who gets paid a lot of money, you're gonna hear it if you don't perform. But it's like, wait a minute. This guy was carrying your team early. And now he's been back and he doesn't have his timing yet. Obviously, you can see that. And he has a bad series in Detroit. And he comes back and he continues a little bit against Tampa. And then they're on his case again. It's it's just a different level in New York. And the same thing happens with the Mets. Now, they waited a month before they started booing Lindor. But Lindor was off to, as we know, he's been off to a slow start too, and they've been letting him have it too. Now he's started to heat up a little bit, but it's just that level of scrutiny in New York. It comes with the territory. You get paid a little bit extra money, but it does. Those 4-game losing streaks feel like 10-game losing streaks other places. I use this example. I went from the Mets to the Orioles, and the Mets. I always felt like when I was GM, I was putting out fires left. The media was calling, "Hey, I heard about this." I'm like, "Oh man, here we go again! Like another fire I got to put out." In the Orioles, when I went to Baltimore and I was running their team with Mike Flanagan, we were trying to create fires. We were trying to create interest in our team. We were trying to get, because it wasn't as hard hitting, it wasn't as much digging. And it was more of a football town. They weren't really talking about us all that much. We're trying to come up with stories. I traded for Chris, when I was with the O's. I traded for him twice.
Because you knew that brings a story.
His wife at the time was bringing a lot of attention to him, to our team. So, it is different. Like losing streaks in Baltimore, they just lost 14 in a row. That took on its own pressure. But they don't have the same pressures that you have in New York or Boston or Philly or some of those towns. It's just a different animal.
Let me ask you this. One of my favorite players is Yasiel Puig, who's obviously not in the big leagues currently. He's playing in Mexico, I believe. Do you see him making it back to the show? Is he going to make it back, or are they afraid to sign him?
I think there's some issues with him off the field. There's abuse charges against him that are sitting there that haven't. I don't think he's been. And I don't think charges have been pressed yet, as far as I remember, but they've been sitting there lingering. He had a chance last year.
Right, with the Braves.
With the Braves, and he tested positive for COVID. And then some of these charges came out after the fact. And so I think the combination, listen, he's one of those personalities that if everything's like a clean slate, you like to have him in the game. Like he's fun to watch. But I think it's going to be hard for him to make a comeback at the moment, just because of the charges against him.
I have a question for you, Jim. You mentioned about the high salaries, especially the New York teams, and the fans there. I know. Wow, I've been in the Yankee Stadium so many times. I've been in the old Shea and stuff. They'll let you know. Even now, they'll let you know big time where you are or where they think that you are. So Let me ask you, you mentioned those big salaries. There's like over 20 players I read getting $25 million or more in baseball this year. What's your opinion on what has happened in the last, I'll even say 20 years? I remember my grandfather told me, in the front of the New York Daily News, it was a big paper in New York, and it was on the front page when Dave Winfield got 10 years, $20 million.
I remember that.
My grandfather was like, I love the Yankees. I can't believe that they're giving someone $20 million for 10 years. This was like, everyone was getting $300,000, $400,000 a year. Now they're giving this guy $20 million. Now you look at, I think Trout's getting $37 million for this year. So you look at that compared to years ago. And, what do you think was it? I'll even go back further. I'll go back 50 years ago. I'm friends with a really good reporter. He was a really good reporter. He still is. My buddy, 90-year-old Jerry Eisenberg. I love Jerry. And Jerry tells me stories all the time. We talk every week for at least an hour on the phone. And he was telling me stories about the guys that used to travel. And he went on the subway with a lot of these guys from Jersey to the stadium, and in the wintertime they were working second jobs. These are great ball players, not just these are starters on the Yankees, by the way. I'm just thinking, was it the owners were making all the money back then, and now the players are getting what they deserve, or do you think the salaries are out of control?
Well, I think first, I think the salaries are out of control. But I mean, if you look at other sports too, the revenues, it's in line with the revenues of other sports. Now, the NFL, they have they all, I think, even though they have salary caps, you guys might know this too, but that's a pretty even split, right, between revenues, like between the owners and the players. Baseball doesn't have that. They don't have a salary cap, and they don't have the even split. And when I was in the front office, now the last time I remember, because we'd be at these GM meetings, they would give us the breakdown, and a lot of times the players' salaries accounted for. It was in the mid 50s in terms of revenues. So like 55, 56% of the total revenues was accounted for in the player salary. That's pretty high. And since that period of time, it's been on steady decline. It's under 50 now. It's like 46%, but it's still a huge amount, right? They're cutting out the pieces of, I think it's $8 to $9 billion in the industry itself. Now, a lot of that. So when I first started with the Mets, their major league payroll, I remember this vividly talking to one of our owners, Nelson Doubleday at the time. Our payroll was $21 million. That was in early 90s. It's now 10 times that amount. The Mets it's over 200 million. And that's because I think mostly we've seen a huge rise in the revenues on TV, national, local. Some of the internet stuff, MLB.com was formed right around that time. And they're splitting a pie of like $25 to $30 million each yearly. So it's kind of proportionate to what's going on with the revenues in the sport and all these sports. It's where these high salaries are coming from. I don't begrudge the players for having their share. I wouldn't mind seeing a luxury. Listen, I'm coming from a front office perspective. I'd like to see a luxury tax or a cap on the baseball side, and just have the revenue split right in half. But they don't. The players don't seem to want that because of those Mike Trout's, those record-breaking deals that you don't see in other sports.
Right. Cool. And then there's cases like veterans that go unsigned out of free agency, like our good friend of the show, Josh Reddick. Signs with the D-backs, a minor league deal, and now he's the hottest hitter in baseball, at least this week. How do the things like that happen?
There's one area that the players union needs to address, and it's the veteran player that is into his early to mid 30s. A lot of times they're coming off of a contract, and they're out there in the free agent market, and teams are choosing to go with younger players rather than the Josh Reddicks of the world, the Yasiel Puigs. And I've always felt, if I ever got back into the front office, I think that teams are missing out. These type of players are not only they'll still have something left in the tank. They're for the value. I think there's more value because there's more certainty. Like Reddick isn't going to keep hitting like this, but what you're getting out of Josh Reddick. And, he's at this point just wants a job.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay him $12 million. Just give him a fair salary, and he has an opportunity to help your club win. And I think teams are missing out on those players because they're so caught up in the age curve that we see in baseball right now, which is, okay, you start to see a decline at age 32 or 33 years old. There's some players that defy that age curve, and I think Reddick's certainly been one of those.
And they don't seem to value what he does off the field, right? In the locker room, in the clubhouse, all that stuff. I mean, that definitely counts, doesn't it?
It should, and it does. It does for some teams, but it doesn't count enough in other teams. And we started to see this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when at the trade deadline, you've got a guy. The Mets had Jay Bruce at the time, and they were sellers. And Jay was on a 30 home run pace, and the Mets could barely get anything for him at the deadline. He ended up hitting 30 home runs. I think they traded him to, at the time, I want to say Cincinnati. I'm forgetting now. But there should have been a lot of interest, and there was very little, because he was just turned 31, and he was more power hitter without a lot of, had some strikeout in his game. And, they're valuing things that are different. And it's not always good, from my perspective. I think they're missing out on ways to upgrade their club overall. And like you said, add the better clubhouse chemistry guys that are out there too.
Right.
Real cool.
Now, Bill, a lot of your gig is analytics and numbers, right?
Yep.
That
was my next question.
Oh, go. Really?
Look.
Come on. I wasn't even cheating. I had no clue.
I wrote it down. I said, let me ask him a question. Only because, I just watch I'm an old school baseball guy fan. Baseball and boxing is my two sports. That's what I watch. I'm sorry.
Oh, nice.
I grew up like that. I guess growing up the way I did around my father and grandfather. That's what they like. That's what I like.
We're going to add UFC to that list, but it's okay. Keep going. Yeah.
So I every year, like a little kid still, because I still feel that way about baseball. I think there was a line in the movie about tell me there's no romance in baseball. There is. There's a romancing feeling for me. I'll watch my movies. I'll watch, of course, like The Natural. I watched that. I told you about that 2 weeks ago. And I'll watch Major League, and I'll watch the Kevin Costner movie, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams.
Yep.
Well, again, this is a sickness now. I've watched Moneyball twice in the last month.
It's so good.
So I watched it again.
It is good.
And I want to ask you about that. Now, I'm an analytics guy. It's part of my the reasons I win in sports betting. It's part of the reasons why these casinos and sports books are afraid of me and throw me out. One of the skill sets is the fundamentals of really the analytics of baseball really is something that goes into my stuff. But as time goes on and on, I always think maybe it's overblown a little bit because everyone's talking about it now. So is that still part of baseball like it was when the movie was talked about, the Billy Beane era? Or is, because it does I don't even know, I know football does, but does every single baseball team, do they have an analytics department still, or is that still the big thing? What's your answer to that, Jim?
Yeah, well, it is, Bill. I'll tell you, it's a good question. They have actually expanded. They have. So when I was GM of the Mets, it was 03 season. It started in 03 season. We had one person in the analytics department, and I hired him, and then I was able to expand it to two, and now they have dozens of analytics people, and they have interns, and the mounds of information that they generate on a daily basis. We have a saying, when you're going to deliver this information to the hitters, it's paralysis by analysis, right? So they get all this information, and I'll give you a slice of what they're getting now. It's tonight's starting pitcher. He has a mix of fastball, curveball, and changeup. He throws the fastball. He throws it 60% of the time, but on first pitch, he throws it 72% of the time, and he throws it half the time for strikes. And and then the curveball, and they do this for each of these pitches. And wait a minute, but you're in the middle of the lineup, so they pitch differently to you, and so before you're even at the plate, you're going, what in God's name does this guy even throw? Like it's gotten that granular. And so the trick for some of these really good teams is, how do they relay it to the player so that they aren't going up there with all of this information at once? Is keep it simple, and and slice it up to because a lot of these hitters, they're not over, some of them have a high school education, some of them are college education, some of them want the information, some don't. And so you have to sort all of that out, and then how it's delivered to them. And so that's, I think, the trick of the front offices these days, Bill. It's like, what information can you give them? What's relevant, and what's the form that you deliver it to them so that they can succeed.
And you're saying some of these teams have a dozen guys?
Oh, easily. Yeah. Or more. It's incredible because they're cutting out the scouts. So the scouts they would send out.
Okay.
It's at the expense of the scouts. A lot of times they go, oh, well, we don't need you to go sit and watch these games now. We can watch them on TV. We can analyze it through video and through statistical analysis. And so they're recalculating all of the money that's that they would spend on the scouts, and they've reallocated it to their analytics department.
Oh, okay. Wow. I get you. So it's not like the team is investing so much more money than they used to. They're getting rid of some of these scouts, and some of these old school guys must really be upset about that because
for sure.
Now again, originally part of my question was, maybe that's even overblown a little bit. Maybe you do have to have that human element, that human feel, that like John said with Beckett, right? No, not Beckett. Who's the player we had on? Josh Reddick.
Reddick.
He's a leader off the field. He's a leader in the club. That analytics can't tell me.
Right.
It can't tell me that this guy is a motivator for the team and stuff. So,
or sometimes guys just step up for a big game. Like, right, the X factor, the whatever. Ozzie Smith hasn't hit a home run left-handed and for 4,000 at bats or whatever. We all remember that. I mean, I guess you can't. Maybe it's not right to run the team like that, but I like those days.
Yeah. So maybe it is kind of overblown.
Well, you had to know the player, right? You had to kind of realize that they have a heartbeat, they have a pulse, and you'd be surprised how many teams don't really put much consideration in it. Still, the good teams do, I think, but there's others that don't put as much of an emphasis on it. And you know what? When the team goes south and don't play well, that's when you find out if you have good makeup teams, right? Everyone can be happy and run and play well when you're winning and you're optimistic and everything else. But when you come to the ballpark and you've lost 8 in a row and you're struggling yourself, but you better have good makeup and a good clubhouse chemistries to get through that period of time. And not everybody kind of builds their team that way.
Awesome.
Do you have front office aspirations still?
Only in the right situation. I love what I'm doing now. I'm on the broadcasting side.
Less stress, right?
On my radio show, it's way less stress. Like, I sleep great at night. I don't have to answer to an owner. Right. He's calling me up in the middle of the night going, "Hey, boy, we were terrible tonight. What's going on? Why can't you fix this? Do you need to fire the manager? Do you need all that's getting calls on Christmas morning? Hey, what's going on? Well, what do you mean what's going on? It's Christmas, so we're not doing anything today.
Right.
That 24, but again, listen, you get paid the big money for that too. So that with the stress comes the salaries, but there's a sacrifice there too that I did for a while, and this suits me much more. I would get back in the right situation. I wouldn't want to give up what I've built on the broadcast side unless it was a unique situation.
Right.
And if it was, then as an example, if a buddy of mine got back in a GM chair, I'd be willing to go back. Or I got involved at the ownership level. Maybe I helped raise money for an ownership group, and they wanted me to be in the front office. Okay, I would be interested in that.
Well, Jim, before we let you go, and thank you so much for doing this today, before we let you go, I'm going to put you on the spot with 2 last questions, okay? I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Got it.
Does Pete Rose belong in the Hall of Fame?
I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm one of those guys that, I mean, listen, I'm very, very familiar with what happened, and certainly the investigation, some of the things that he said, but the Hall of Fame is a museum.
Right. And
you can do both. You can allow him to be in the Hall of Fame. And by the way, if he was off the restricted list, then we could actually have the writers vote on it. And I don't think anyone would sit there and say his baseball abilities were good enough to get him into the Hall of Fame. The question would be, because they have this character clause, would they vote him in? And the second part of that answer is, well, baseball has now embraced the gambling aspect. So there seems to be, and I listen, I used to read the rule that Pete Rose violated. Right? We had to, as the front office guys, you had to read it to the players to make sure they were aware there's no gambling. Certainly you can't gamble in baseball, and here's why. And I called it the Pete Rose rule. Yeah. But you can not have Pete Rose involved on a day-to-day basis, but still have him in the Hall of Fame. Like you can do both, and I think he's deserving of, because of his talent, to be in. You agree with that? I'm sure.
I think Pete should definitely be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Now you're talking about someone that's a knockaround kid from back home.
Right.
I've been in this gambling business for 45 years. I know some things about him that was bad on not paying bookmakers and stuff like that. So, I mean, I hate that about him, but he deserves, for his on-field accomplishments, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, last question for both of you. We'll go to you, Jim. Barry Bonds.
Sure.
Hall of Fame?
I feel like it's the same answer. Like he didn't need to cheat. I wish he didn't, because he was so good.
He was the best player before any of that.
It's the best hitter I've ever seen, in my era of the front office. And, I wish he didn't. But I think his ability, I feel like this is an area that we can, again, delineate by saying, listen, we know this period was the steroid era.
Yeah.
And who were the best players during that era, and admit them into the Hall of Fame.
So, Jim, tell us where do we listen to you? You're on Sirius Satellite Radio. You want to give a little plug here for yourself? Yeah,
that would be great. Yeah, Sirius XM channel 89 on Sirius, and my show is 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time, Sunday through Friday.
Cool.
And then I still do pregame and postgame for the Mets on SNY. I do about 30 games this year. I'm doing 30 games, so you can see me on pre and post on SNY TV.
Awesome.
And your Twitter handle, because I went there earlier. I just followed you, by the way.
Good. I just got that. There we go.
I absolutely love the retweet, so you can make a difference. I'm a real charitable guy, so for the Lou Gehrig Day Lou Foundation, really nice of you, and I really like that stuff. So I followed you, and I'll try to help you there with that.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Jim _Duquette on that, both Twitter and Instagram. So.
Yep.
Jim,
Perfect.
Thank you so much for doing this. And
all right, guys,
will you let us know when you're in Vegas, okay?
I definitely will.
All right.
I definitely will. I got
Thanks.
2 guys I know now in Vegas.
All right. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on out.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bill, good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
You too. That's Jim Duquette right there.
That was awesome.
How about that? You like that?
That was great.
I like that.
I'll be honest with you. That was you could just see he's a regular, kind
he's
of
a good dude.
Old school. My old, I know it's an overused word. Old school knock around guy there. He looks like a tough guy too.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah. Before we wrap up here real quick, we were talking about NBA. I'm all in on Phoenix.
Oh, I was looking up the odds.
You were looking up the odds.
Yeah. I was looking up some
because I'm all in without knowing the line.
By the way, so now this is on just to let anyone know here.
Yeah.
I'm on WSN, and you scroll down here. Come on, Billy boy, and there's a whole thing on futures. So there's articles on futures, and there's also some. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. Here they are. NBA championship winner odds. You just click on more futures. There's also the rookie positions predictions. I'm sorry, but here's all the odds I have here. This is probably because of the Lakers got blown out last night. You might find some better odds than this plus 4.5.
Completely blown out.
Yeah.
Was that the worst blowout in postseason history?
I don't like the Lakers either, though.
I like that about you, Crack.
No, I don't like the Lakers. I don't like. I'm all about who's good examples for the youth and the kids today growing up.
Yeah.
And I don't think, like you said, I don't think LeBron's one of them. The Nets, listen, they're going to be the favorite. It says plus 190 here. You might get 2-1. They're the best team. The Bucks may have some value. And the Suns, you're saying.
Tell me. Talk to me right now. Talk to me.
25-1 or something.
I'm in. Their momentum. They beat LeBron.
Yeah.
They beat the former champ. It propels you to greatness.
The Nets are so tough, but I can't recommend anyone taking the 2-1. I may have to, if I was to have to go to bet one of these now,
right?
I'm going to use all my sites. I'm going to search, and I'm looking for something like maybe a medium, like 5-6-1 on Jazz or Bucks or something.
Okay.
But anyway, yes, and also. Before we get off here, they also have Rookie of the Year predictions here on the site. And listen, LaMelo.
That one's ball, right?
Yeah,
ball.
Well,
ball in the bag.
yeah. LaMelo Ball is you have to lay like 20-1, which I'm never doing. I'm never laying the 20. You don't know what could happen here. But there's some other guys like Edwards is 7 or 8-1. Anthony Edwards. So there is, like I said, click on this and it's interesting. This article is actually very interesting about this, and there's different links on to different other sites that talk about this even more. Twitter feeds. I love that too about WSN. You actually can go there, and they're not all about themselves. They're going to show you what's real about articles, and they're going to show you about other websites and other social media platforms like Twitter, and show you what's on there. So I kind of like the articles like that, and it goes deep into. Has there ever been a unanimous Rookie of the Year? When will the NBA Rookie of the Year when will it be announced? Is the NBA Rookie of the Year determined by a fan vote? There's a lot of informative things here, or there's even much more in-depth things. This is more for like someone that's just brand new to it. But there's also great articles about these things like this. So it's just another thing why that I use WSN and I go there every week.
All right. Yeah. Spoken from the champ himself. Yeah. You're the champ. You know that. You're the sports betting champ. You don't like when I say that stuff, but it's true.
Yeah. You're the champ. I have to start realizing that I am a guy that wins month in and month out, year in and year out, really, sports betting. I mean, even I say the Crack Wins app, of course, we've won over 250 units since I started, but even personally, there's a lot of things I can't give out, because if one casino here has, plus 160, and the general consensus everywhere that the guys can get 140, I'm betting the 160. I'm getting positive value. At the end of the year, I'm making money with that. And the skill sets that it takes to be a professional gambler and actually win. I talked yesterday about, I know people that are so smart in this game, and yet they still lose. Because of a flaw, a bankroll management flaw. They can't handle losing. Some of the best blackjack card counters in the world, they go off sometimes because
discipline.
They get mad that the aces are supposed to come out, and the dealers are getting them 2 blackjacks in a row. When you know that those blackjacks are out there, you're getting 3-2. They're not. You have you have the option to hit 16 or not. They have a built-in. They have to hit 16. So they get so mad, emotion takes over, and they actually have a negative EV when they should be a winning player. So there are different skill sets you have to overcome, and I'm pretty happy to say that I've gotten there. So you're right.
I like
Knock on wood.
I like it.
Yeah.
Another show has come and gone. It's over. It's over, Bill.
Great guest. Loved him. That was great. Good job.
Next week, we have a great guest, too. I have no clue who it is. I don't know.
That'll be someone. If not, though, listen, we're amazing. Wednesdays, the shows, and just for the guys out there that don't know this, which is nobody, you guys don't know this, me and John don't decide on if we're asking a guest to come on until Monday.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, you want to come on the show this week? And I'm still going to say this. I'm sure the execs at WSN know this. I'm willing to put our show up against almost any show for the amount of guests and the quality of guests that we get every week.
Agreed.
I mean, from guys that like today's guest to the legendary sports book guys in the industry. We had Jimmy Vaccaro and Jay Cornegay and porno stars. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. We're the little show that could.
Yeah. We really are.
And we're going to do it again next week.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I left you hanging. I didn't mean to.
Yo.
All right.